Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday and good morning to all of you. Today, we will be talking about Clubhouse with Ophelia Domingo, the founder of Up Sabah. So before we get started into that conversation, let me briefly introduce myself. For those of you who have been regulars to our Reebok Studio show, my name is Krista Gun, obviously from the label on the screen here. And I am the person who will host and moderate our guests that I bring on every 2 weeks to our show. So the concept of our show is very simple. I want to bring on interesting business people, marketing people, people who talk about leadership, to share with us some of their insights, some of their thoughts, and so that we can all learn. Because I think today's world, I think the key thing is information and knowledge. And the more insights and the more experiences that we can share with each other, the better our world will be, right? So today, I'm very excited to bring on Ophelia Domingo, all the way from Kota Kinabalu, Sabah.
Hi, everybody. And
Hi,
to
Ophelia.
hello. It's good to have Penang and Sabah together.
Yeah, from two ends, right, of Malaysia,
Exactly.
almost.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so Ophelia is based in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, and she is the founder of Up Sabah, which is, what do you call it? Which is a group. Is it a group? Is it a community?
It's a
It's a
club
club.
on
Okay.
Clubhouse. Yeah.
Okay, it's a club on Clubhouse. So today we're going to talk about Clubhouse, and she's going to share with us some of her strategies, her tips, her tricks for not only having great conversations on Clubhouse, but also growing a community. So tell us, how big is your community today?
Right. Our community today consists of 8 permanent moderators. So these are always say the backbone of the community lah. Without us, then there wouldn't be any rooms, no conversations. But we have got a strong following of 1,500 people on Clubhouse, not just Sabahans, but Malaysians and also non-Malaysians who find us fascinating and decided to just join and become a member of Up Sabah on Clubhouse. So how strong is it? 1,500. It's up to you to decide whether it's strong or not. And it's just
Okay, but we need to talk a little bit about you before we talk about your community and your club, right, on Clubhouse. So Ophelia, you are an audiologist by
correct.
profession and by training.
Yeah.
And for those of us who do not know what that is, can you please enlighten us?
Okay, let me just spell it out because people usually also get that wrong. When I said I am an audiologist, people will either hear a geologist or ideologist. So usually people don't have any idea what an audiologist is unless they have got a first-hand experience communicating with an audiologist or any experience with an audiologist. So it's audio, AUDIO, LOGIST, audiologist. So basically, what an audiologist does is we do diagnosis for hearing loss. So we determine the degree, the type of hearing loss, and we suggest offer solutions. What can we do about it? And audiologists work very, very closely with the ear, nose, and throat doctors. So the ENT would come in with the treatment and surgery, medication, and stuff like that. And the audiologist would come in to uh, to do the measurement before a treatment is being done, or if before a diagnosis is being determined, that's when we, the audiologist, would run the tests and things like that. So basically that's a nutshell of what I do. And also to add, a lot of people think that my clients are only older people. No, I don't. I see a huge range of uh, as young as a week old or 2 days old, even right up to 102 years old. So I see many kinds of people in my field.
And how does an audiologist like you
Uh-huh.
decide to go on Clubhouse and start a club?
Oh, that had me going on an audio app. So people always think that, oh, okay, because you're an audiologist, right? That's why you like Clubhouse very much, which is an audio based app. Uh, I got into Clubhouse and I was recommended by a friend who's not an audiologist. And she just thought that, oh, this is something that you probably would like because you like to talk. So she introduced me and I got into it and I was very fascinated because I grew up listening to radio. Every day when I woke up, there was always radio at the background. Uh, but I felt like, oh, okay, when radio no longer, now household don't have radios. We only would listen to radio when we are in the car. So when Clubhouse came in, that's like also another level of podcast. But podcast is recorded and it's never live. So if you don't have that opportunity to listen to a podcast live, then I mean, of course, podcast is always recorded, right? So you always have that later lah, because I can always listen to it at my convenience. But Clubhouse is also live, so it's very similar to radio. So if you miss it, you miss it. There's no repeats unless a person decides to record it. But what's interesting about Clubhouse is like, just imagine radio being live, and also if you miss it, you'll miss it. But the bonus of Clubhouse is you get to interact. So unlike radio, where you only listen or you get to call in, but you don't always get to go online. But with Clubhouse, you get to come on stage and also speak, ask your questions and things like that. And the audio quality on Clubhouse is awesome. It sounds as if a person is right in front of you. It doesn't sound anything like radio or a person speaking on the telephone. So that's Clubhouse for you.
Okay, thank you for the quick primer on what Clubhouse is. So I think we have some people here. Let me just say some hellos. Hi, Eliza. Welcome. Hi, Q Hong. These are some of my friends. They have come to join us today. And there's Andrew Kwe, who's also my friend. And he says, hi, Ophelia. Got to meet you in some of the Malaysian rooms.
Right. Hi,
Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah. Okay, now Andrew, I must say this. Andrew has been trying to rope me into speaking at some of these rooms. But most of the time, either I'm too busy or it's at the wrong time and I'm trying to have dinner. So sorry, Andrew. So, okay, so now we got to know a little bit about what Clubhouse is. And tell me your personal preference, right? If there's a choice between Clubhouse and just say watching someone live like this, just say a Facebook live or a live stream, what would be your preference?
Audio would always, right? Okay, to be fair, right? To be fair, when I am on Clubhouse as a listener, I'm always doing something. I'm not sitting and listening. I'm always doing something. So stuff like this, I would look at the person for a while, because it's not like we're going to share any slides or anything like that that requires my attention. I would usually run this at my background and then, just continue doing my work and continue listening. So to say what preference as a listener, I don't mind this kind of stuff. I don't mind what do you call this, Clubhouse either. So I wouldn't say I would like to pick and choose. But the thing about Clubhouse is, if you get bored of one room and a conversation, the biggest button on Clubhouse is to leave quietly. So you are not obligated to stay in the conversation if it doesn't interest you anymore. So you can always leave, and they will always have other options of conversations in the hallway, as we call it. Unlike things like this, you don't have your option is, okay, I'm gonna decide to stop listening to Ophelia and Krista right now and continue doing other stuff. So that would be the pros and cons, or I wouldn't say pros and cons, just different kind of layout, different kind of platform. And I wouldn't want to say this is better or the other is better. Is this, when it comes to convenience, I would say that Clubhouse is more convenient because it doesn't makan as much data as I would imagine, watching a person on Facebook Live, because it's a video, and I could conveniently listen to a person on Clubhouse when I'm doing my grocery shopping because it doesn't switch off. I noticed that whenever I want to listen to a person on Zoom and also on things like this, when I put my phone in the pocket and continue to do grocery shopping, it goes off. So I
It
have to
disconnects.
continue. Yeah, it disconnects, so it doesn't run at the background. So and I have to force to just open, the app, and I notice that my phone gets really hot after that. So if you're talking about the usage of phone and pairing it with an activity, then I would say Clubhouse, or not just Clubhouse, okay, but there's many other audio apps out there. An audio app would be a little bit more energy saving compared to stuff like this.
Okay. So let's talk about audio only platforms or audio only apps, right? Because I know you're also in business, you're a business owner of your own Ophelia Hearing Center in Kota
Yeah.
Kinabalu. You're a business owner, and I know you also have another business. So that business, I think I have to let her tell you all about it. It has a very interesting name. It's called Tipsy Tiramisu, and that's your side business, right? So the main business is the audiology business, but then there's a side
Correct.
business.
Yeah.
So how does this work for businesses or business owners? For instance, if I were a business owner and I'm a business owner, I want to use Clubhouse to grow and promote my brand and my products. How would this help me? How can it help it?
It helps a lot in collaboration. This is a great example, Krista. I met you because of Clubhouse. And but the secret to this is you have to talk, because if you're just going to be listening, unless you're listening to have that intention of approaching another person and said, I was listening to your conversation, I would like to ask you whatever. But speaking and listening gives you that mileage and also that limelight. I wouldn't say limelight lah, but a person would know you better lah. I mean,
Okay.
especially if you speak, right? And when you get notification all the time, Ophelia is speaking, Ophelia is speaking, you've got that the option to remove that notification. But when a person speaks on Clubhouse most of the time, and if I introduce myself, but this is the thing. Sometimes I forget to introduce who I am and what I do. And most of the time, people only know me as the founder of Up Sabah. They
Yeah.
don't know that I'm an audiologist by profession. So I constantly have to remind myself that. And when any of the lead moderators say, okay, Ophelia, go ahead and introduce yourself, I have to always remember to say, I am an audiologist by profession. And I realize that I cannot just stop there because people don't know what an audiologist is. So sometimes I take 2 minutes to introduce myself and what I do. And I realized that people started back channeling me and said, oh, you're the hearing person. I've got I've got a hearing question. Um, and they usually say, oh yeah, I know we hear the word audiologist, but we don't really know what you do. And I realized that, oh gosh, I can't make assumptions that people know I'm an audiologist. That's number one. And number two is I cannot make the assumption that people know what an audiologist is. So I would usually have to expand and say, this is what I do. So when I introduce myself as that, and because I did that with, I'm Ophelia, a sex education trainer, and from Clubhouse I had so many invitations, doing things like this. People were just inviting me to talk about sex education for children. So I guess I was doing right with branding myself as a sex ed trainer, but I was not taking the advantage of introducing myself as an audiologist. So this is a platform, a wonderful one. But if you don't know how to use it and utilize it properly, then it's not going to go to your advantage. And these are some of the things that I had to learn. What is the thing which I have to say? And within a few months, I realized that, okay, this is how I'm supposed to introduce myself. So there you go. Wonderful platform. Also, being able to know what to say to the audience for them uh, to capture their attention and to take the next action, which is to contact you, because that's at the end of the day, that's what you want, right? You just don't want to be wasting your time just talking and talking and talking. And at the end of the day, you will be asking yourself, what am I doing? Why am I speaking for fun, or do I want something out of this branding on this audio app? I
Okay.
hope I answer your question.
Okay, that's a great one because I didn't know you talk about sex ed. And so now I know a little bit more about you. So let's talk about Tipsy Tiramisu. Have you promoted yourself on Clubhouse um, about this other business then, besides being an audiologist?
The tipsy tiramisu is something which I have not spoken a lot about on Clubhouse, and it's just that sometimes moderators would read on your profile and they go like, "Oh, I noticed that you are a founder of Tipsy Tiramisu. What is that?" And then I would go on and say, "Oh yeah, I founded this, da 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 da," and I would just tell the story of how Tipsy Tiramisu was founded. And I have got a couple of orders also because I spoke about it on Clubhouse. Um, so I also realized that the more attention or spotlight, because I wear many hats, right? I'm a founder, I'm an audiologist, I'm a sex education trainer, I'm also a Tipsy Tiramisu founder. So when I put a spotlight on something, I notice that people's attention do go on it. But of course, whenever I speak, I don't have all the time to have the same amount of spotlight on all the hats that I wear. Uh, so so tipsy tiramisu is something which I say I would put a little bit of a spotlight, but also knowing that my audience are all not from KK. So what's the point of me talking so much about it? So if you, Krista, know, and some of today's listeners know about tipsy tiramisu, but if you're from all over Malaysia, that information is just going to be an information. It's not going to be converted into sale, because this bit of a business is not a service, it's a product. So if I talk so much and I spend a whole hour just talking about tipsy tiramisu, and when we say goodbye to everybody, it's not going to be converted into sale. So what's the point of speaking about it, right? So that's why tipsy tiramisu is not being given so much of the limelight on Clubhouse, because of that reason lah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
your audiology service, right? Could it also expand beyond KK? If
Yeah.
people
So
say, I'm like, just say I'm in Penang, right? And I want to get your advice and some of your suggestions for some hearing related problem, that is possible. But
it is now possible, because hearing aids now are
mm,
also very changgih. So
okay.
for example, if you had a trial of hearing aid, you had your hearing tested done and things like that, and you go like, oh yeah, Ophelia sounds interesting, I would want Ophelia to look after me as an audiologist. uh, then I would be able to pack up a hearing aid and send it over to you and do your fitting remotely. So it's something like this where I'm able to see you, and then you can tell me, oh, it's a little bit too bassy and things like that. And I go like, oh, okay, let me just put down the bass. So I'm able to control your hearing aid from Kota Kinabalu, but because that is how modern hearing aids are really. So that is possible. But before the pandemic, our clients also came from Brunei and also some parts of Sarawak, because places like Limbang and also Lawas is a place where it's much closer to Sabah than it is to Kuching or Miri. So most of my clients who are from Lawas, even though Lawas is in Sarawak, and also the Bruneians, they prefer to come to Kiki because it's much closer geographically. And also, they say lah, okay, not me, they say KK is more happening than Kuching. And right, because if they go down to Kuching, it's already so close to KL, they might as well just go to KL because
Yeah.
KL is more happening. Uh, so it's weird, right? Because we're talking about the biggest state in Malaysia. And the
Yeah.
biggest state in Malaysia is so huge that they've got options to go to other states, and to choose not to go to their main city. So
Okay.
yeah, it does help. And plus, we have got an audiology room every Wednesdays on Clubhouse, not initiated by me. It was initiated by a Singapore-based audiologist, and we just get together on Clubhouse every Wednesday just to talk about audiology.
Okay. So this in this way, why, like you mentioned just now, right? Because of the live factor and the fact that you can join in the conversation and you can speak and all that. But for those of us who have completely no idea what that is, even though we know it's an audio platform, what was the back channeling that you were talking about just now? You say somebody could back channel you. Is that
Oh, sorry, jargon. So basically, back channel is what we call direct message on Instagram, or Messenger on Facebook, or personal message. Drop me a DM, slide me a direct message. So we call it back channel on Clubhouse. That's just basically uh, one of the newer features that was introduced on Clubhouse, because last time Clubhouse was purely audio only. You can't chat with a person. But that was introduced, I think, a couple of months ago, maybe about 2 months ago, that feature was added onto Clubhouse. So when I say back channel me, it means drop me a text on
okay? So like
Clubhouse.
DM.
Yeah, like DM. That's right.
Okay. So you see, there's a kind of like their own lingo for Clubhouse. So for those of you who are watching, how many of you are on Clubhouse? As when I say on Clubhouse, it's probably people like me. We are on Clubhouse, but we just go and listen in. We don't really, what you call host? Is it called a host or moderate a room or
Yeah,
a,
moderator
yeah,
room,
moderate
host,
a room
speak.
or host or speak? We
Mm.
just go in there to what we call just to listen in on people talking and oh, okay, great conversations, and I like that. But haven't had that how should I say? I haven't had that push to actually get into hosting it. So if you want to host a room, okay, what are the fears? I know my own fears. Like, oh, what should I talk about? Right? Is that a fear? I mean, for most people who want to talk about something, a topic, right? Or does it always have to be generic? Doesn't have to be really something so super detailed. It's just a general room and you can talk about anything. Is that how you grew your WhatsApp Sabah?
I'll give you an experience of the newer moderators, of the fear that they encounter whenever they are moderating for the first time. It's usually, topics is not usually an issue because people have so much to talk about. We've had moderators who is radiographer, right? That was the one that you participated. I am a radiographer, and he said, okay, I want to have this conversation every Thursday. I said, great. And he said, okay, I want to do MRI, and I want to do ultrasound, I want to talk about x-ray and things like that. But what his fear was is like, but can you help me reset the room? Right.
Okay,
So
what does that sound like?
that's
Reset
yeah,
the
so
room.
that is the fear that most moderators would be very afraid of, is to reset the room. So basically resetting the room is saying hello and welcome to everybody that just attended. So then you would say, oh, this is episode 134 of What's Up Sabah, and today we're talking about, hello, I'm a radiographer, and we're talking about the x-ray of the kidney, for example. And so for any one of you who is at the audience and would like to come on stage, press on the hand raise button, and the moderators will bring you up on stage. This is going to run until 10 o'clock. Just basically setting, because people are coming in and out, in and out. People don't stay from the beginning right up to the end on Clubhouse. So whenever you see a new person that pops in, that's when you have to reset the room. And most of newer moderators would have some difficulty having to juggle between, now I have to speak about this conversation, but at the same time I've got to reset. So with all the new moderators, I usually tell them, don't worry about resetting. Whenever I feel that they are new people, I would slide in and say, oh guys, okay, it's time to reset the room, because we noticed that there are some new people in the audience. We also noticed that some of you are new on Clubhouse, and the reason why we know that you are new on Clubhouse is because we noticed that you've got a party popper icon on your profile, and
Really?
you do all those kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may sound easy. Sometimes it may sound easy, but when you finally become a moderator and when you decide to speak, you go like, oh my gosh, I've got to juggle that two things. So that's the fear, usually, having to juggle in between having to welcome people, having to bring people on stage, but at the same time, you also have to make sure that your conversation flows.
Yeah.
Those are some of the fears.
Okay. So that's exactly like what I do for this live stream is sometimes I have to think, okay, I have to focus on my guests, make sure the conversation is flowing. At the same time, okay, look at the comments. Okay, what are people asking? Shall I pull this up? Shall I not pull it up now? So those are some of the things. Yeah, I mean, this is really 21st century kind of juggling, right? You have to juggle like so many things, and you have to keep your brain focused on that one thing that you want to do. So right now we want to take a break to take a question from Andrew. Okay, let me just pull it up. Since you mentioned about remote access to hearing aids, I'm concerned about device security, as cybersecurity is one of the things we need to manage now. Kudos to IoT. Okay. Is it a question or is it just a concern that you want to raise? Andrew. He says he's a Clubhouse geek. So yeah, I know Andrew has been, excuse me, on Clubhouse very often. So I don't know. Is this a question that you can answer?
Yeah, it's a question I can answer. Of course, everything is a concern, right? My Sujatra is something which we have to be concerned also. Everything, like basically, if you own a smartphone, you have to be concerned. So just basically, when a person says, oh, okay, what are the information that you can get from my hearing aids now? Are you able to listen to my conversation now? Are you going to act as a spy? Is usually the question. And it's not, how would I say, we can only say that for me to be able to access your hearing aid, I've got to program your hearing aids first onto my software. So it's not like I go on my internet and go like, oh, Krista, let's click on Krista and uh, fine tune a hearing aid. No, it's not like that. The hearing aids has to be paired first onto my software, and then when you bring it out, that's when I have to dial in, and you've got to accept it. So it's the same thing like this conversation. If you decide to want to come onto, on StreamYard, both parties have to accept that invitation. So with hearing aids also, it's the same thing. You've got to dial in, and both parties would have to click on start to be able to access that remote fitting. So, but Andrew, whatever that goes beyond that, I'm not a tech savvy person. I don't know what goes beyond AI and yada yada and all that explanation to cybersecurity and things like that. But that is how it works for hearing aids. Both parties would have to dial in and accept that invitation. And if you're in Malaysia, so for every country, there would be license. So if I were to go and access a person who is not in Malaysia, or if I'm not in Malaysia at that time, but my location, it comes to with where you are also. It comes to licensing also, so it's not that easy to just simply go into people's hearing aids.
Hope that answers your question, Andrew. So now let's get back to the business aspect of things, Ophelia. What should business owners do first on Clubhouse? For instance, right now, can I say that Clubhouse is open to all? You don't have to go by invites only, right?
Yeah, it's open to all now.
Perfect.
Anybody, as long as you've got a smartphone, you can download Clubhouse. There you go. You are already on Clubhouse.
So
So
in
what
the
can you
past, it
do?
was invite only. That's
Invite
why a lot of
only.
people got like, oh, I'm not using Apple or
Yeah,
iPhone.
yeah, that's right. So it was only for iOS users last time, and then you know, it doesn't matter if you've got an iOS, but if you don't get an invitation, you still don't go into Clubhouse. So it was very exclusive last time, but now
Yeah.
it's open to everybody. So your question is, what do business owners have to do first?
Yeah.
Is basically use Clubhouse as a platform to network. uh, it doesn't matter whether you're a listener or you're a speaker. I would say use it as a platform to network with everybody. Sometimes you may be a listener and you may be listening to a conversation and you would like to back channel a person and say, oh, I heard you said about XYZ and that you're looking for a solution. And I happen to be a person from this industry who is able to offer you a solution to your problem and things like that. So use it as don't hard sell, because people are very much turned off with hard selling on Clubhouse, not just Clubhouse, but all the other platforms. Don't hard sell and don't say, "Oh, my name is Ophelia. I'm an audiologist. You know, come. I give you a free hearing test and things like that." Use it gracefully, lah. Use it as a platform to build your network. Okay. Networking is something which is built, uh, and respect is also gained. People, and also trust is also something which is built over time. So use it slowly. Don't expect yourself to, oh, Ophelia say Clubhouse very good, Krista say Clubhouse very good, tonight you download Clubhouse and then tomorrow you become a millionaire. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. It has to be built. Sometimes you may realize that you are having a conversation alone, you only have one or two audience. Have patience, keep doing it. Consistency is the key. When you keep talking about it, when you sound professional, people finally say, oh, okay. Like for example, I'll give you an example of the hello, I'm a radiographer. One of our moderators who is a radiographer, his audience grew because they know that every Thursday at 8:30 somebody is going to come up and talk about it, and slowly he managed to get people following him and asking him questions and dropping him a message and say, thank God you spoke about it, because I was so ready for my next x-ray. So but it wasn't overnight. It was built over a couple of weeks. So that's how you use Clubhouse for business, Krista.
Do you have to have a set time? For instance, like your radiographer friend, he decides to go on Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Does it have to be a set time and day? Or is it better to have a set time and day? Or is it good to just pop up on people's radar?
It's better to have, so people would usually say, okay, I will remember that Thursdays. But at the same time, we also have things where we don't have set. It's only one room and it's a great conversation. For example, there was an issue about the sexual harassment that was happening with the beauty pageants, the Undok Ladau, the Harvest Festival Beauty Queen. So things like the Me Too movement that happened in Hollywood. So we had our version where one of the participants just came up and started speaking about it, and other participants said, "Oh yeah, it's actually very common to layan sponsors." So that was a one-off topic, and it blew to hundreds of listeners. So that was something which we decided, okay, let's do it tonight. right? So it's you've at the end of the day you've got to test your own. um is it consistency that works? Is it something which people will come in because it's a hot topic, therefore I want to get into it? um Raymond Go, who is the news anchor of TV3, has his rooms on a random day, random time. And suddenly you will see Raymond Go just scheduled how to speak confidently at 10:45 p.m. And if you ngam happen to be on Clubhouse and you saw that, and you're gonna go in, and because he's so famous, right? He usually would have typically 30 to 40 listeners, something which he doesn't even advertise, something which he thought, okay, today I've got the time. I want to talk about this. Um, so there's really no set rules to whether you should be doing it every Thursdays or whether you should do it to be consistent. Some people work like like I'll give you another example of JJ, the breakfast crew on Hits FM, who was on radio for 12 years. He does the same thing too. And if he says, oh my gosh, I want to talk about this Libres thing that talks about their new kabaya, uh, the thing that sparked so much conversation. And he said, I want to do this. And that room blew too, because he spoke about something which is hot. So whether or not you have to be consistent or whether this is a pop-up room, all depends on something which it's a trial and error, really. You've got to try and test whether it works nighttime or daytime, whether it works on weekdays or weekends, is something everybody should try out.
Okay. So the first thing that we should do as business owners is to get ourselves on Clubhouse, and then we need to follow people, listen in, or start our own.
Okay, so because you wouldn't be going on to Clubhouse and suddenly just starting a conversation. So the first thing that you should do is to come in to Clubhouse and start following people. When you follow people, the person that you follow holds the ticket to the next room. So the more people you follow, the more rooms that you will be seeing on your hallway. So sometimes people go like, how come I only see all this Quilo room? I don't see Malaysian room. It's probably because you're not following any Malaysian. And if the more Malaysian you follow, the more Malaysian rooms that you will be seeing. But provided that you are following people who are active. Because if I hold your ticket to the next room, so you follow 20 Malaysians, for example, but only one Malaysian is speaking, that's the reason why you say, how come Ophelia? I only see the notification Ophelia is speaking. How come my other Malaysian friends? Because they're not on Clubhouse. So I am representing that one Malaysian, and whichever rooms that I enter is a room that you will be seeing. So if I decide to go to, my interest is only cryptocurrency, for example, I will be holding the ticket to all the other cryptocurrency world. So I choose, so not all followers I follow back. There's no obligation. Okay, there's no obligation to follow people back. I would pick and choose and see, this follower is a musician. This follower talks a lot about women empowerment. This follower talks a lot about business. So when I follow them back, that leads me to other rooms. Then I would have my chill out jazz music at 11 o'clock, because they hold my ticket to that. Then I would have a follower that talks about sexual harassment at workplace. So I would have that conversation also. So if you're gonna keep following people who are only into cosplay, then you would have all the rooms only about cosplay and nothing else. If you're just going to follow all the musicians, you're only going to have musicians. So you curate your own hallway, you curate your own experience on Clubhouse by following different kinds of people. And you can always unfollow them if you don't like the rooms that they lead you to, because sometimes people go to dodgy rooms, like all the sex rooms and things like that, but really dodgy. We're not talking about sex positive here. We are talking about dark rooms. So sometimes I go like, oh, I'm uncomfortable about this, because this person keeps going into this room and it keeps coming up on my hallway. It doesn't serve me any value, and I decide to unfollow that person. Yeah.
Is there a specific demographic for Clubhouse users? Is that like, we know TikTok is for slightly like people like to do videos and funny stuff and film themselves, probably younger crowd. So is
Mm.
there a kind of demographic that you notice since you've been
So,
on Clubhouse for
so
this long?
Clubhouse, what we notice is the young. So people when we say, "Oh, those are young groups," don't want to go in. Young means university students. So very much youth empowerment. What do you do? Do you like to study online versus physical class and things like that? But the younger generation in Clubhouse would be university students. The ones that are usually active are people who are in their 30s and above. So that's the demographic that I have been noticing on Clubhouse.
And why would these people in their 30s or even 40s like move towards Clubhouse when, I don't know, there are so many other options? And just for people who are watching, we just want to let them know that there are also other audio apps, right? Audio platforms that are really coming up to compete with Clubhouse.
Mhm.
What's that draw from Clubhouse?
What's the draw on Clubhouse that everybody
Yeah,
wants to get in it?
yeah.
It's this generation that grew up with radio, that
So
thinks that,
it's a good generation. It's
yeah,
a great generation.
that's the radio generation. The telephone generation would be very excited about Clubhouse. um, and this is a platform where you don't care how you look like. You can be in your jammies and be lying down, and as long as you have got a beautiful display photo, all people want to hear is a good conversation. So the the younger generation, if you notice, would like to do dance challenges and things like that. Makeup artists usually do not benefit from Clubhouse because there's nothing to show. So if you come from Instagram, where it's very much visual, you want to showcase your work and things like that, Clubhouse would probably not be the place for you. People who are pretty, who have, you see their photos, right? Very like travel bloggers and things like that. They are pleasing to the eyes, but they notice that you will also notice that they do not have many followers on Clubhouse because there's nothing to show, because speaking is not their forte. So there you go. Strengths that people on Clubhouse, usually the not so pretty people, they go on Instagram and people don't really want to, there's nothing to show, but suddenly they behind this photo there's this powerful voice, and a person that is able to spark, really great conversation, would usually find Clubhouse, or not just Clubhouse, audio app base, a powerful tool. So it's not for everybody. uh so if you think that audio, you are also a person that uses your listening skills, you are also a good speaker, then an audio based app would be beneficial. People who like to do all this dance challenges and all that will stick on TikTok. But you also see a lot of people who are very active on Clubhouse, who is also very active on LinkedIn. So usually Clubhouse people, you will see they're very active on Clubhouse and they are also very active on Instagram. I also have a lot of friends who are very active on Clubhouse, who are also very active on TikTok. So usually you don't see people who are only active on Clubhouse and not active on other platforms. It's a combination lah. You can't only have, and there's no rule out there that says you can only be setia to one. It's not like that.
Okay, so that's a good observation, because I was also quite curious about what kinds of people would be attracted to use the audio only app, right? And that is really a good explanation of what kinds of people would be suited for that. Not to say other people are not, but it's just that depending on your inclination and also what you want to do on Clubhouse and what kind of, I would say, substantial things that you want to talk about also. It's not just simply just talking for talking's sake, right? There must be a topic. So now let's get to the part where I will like to ask you, how do you grow your followers to 1,500 in less than 6 months?
This is how so this is how it started. I initially started by saying, okay, I wanna have a platform because Sabahans are we're very cliquish. You can see a Sabahan from one end of the world to the other end of the world, and then when they meet, they look like they know each other since the dinosaur days, but actually they just met like few seconds ago, and that's Sabahans by nature. So when we meet another Sabahan on Clubhouse, we go like, oh my gosh, you're the Sabahan, where you're from, and I'm based in where what a conversation starts, and they go like, oh, let's have a room that speaks, because I miss to cakap Sabah, because a person usually would be based somewhere else, and they say, let's have a room where we only cakap Sabah. And that was how it started. The West Malaysian Sabahans was the one that say, let's do this. And then it started to grow, because we go like, how much cakap Sabah can you do every week until you get bored of it? Let's come up with a proper topic. And they say, Fidel, you come up lah with a Sabahan club, so that all the Sabahans will come up together. And then I said, okay, I will come up with the title What's Up Sabah, because I want to talk about everything and anything. I don't want to be zoomed into just a specific topic. So that's how What's Up Sabah was. I wanted to have the word Sabah in it, so that Sabah, it will basically attract all the Sabahans, because that was my intention, to attract all the Sabahans around the world to be together. And when What's Up Sabah was formed, so we only had like it was created in March, right? So we only had one room a week, and it blew in May, because somebody said, let's do a Harvest Festival countdown. So we did a 2 week. No, it wasn't even 2 weeks. It was 10 days. Let's do a 10-day Kaamatan countdown. Let's talk about Sabah, so that our West Malaysian friends and our friends who are non-Malaysians will be able to know Sabah a little bit better. So we did the everything. So every day we had a room on just music, just the traditional item. What is the difference between Bahasa Sabah and Bahasa Sarawak? Every day we did something. And we started growing from there. And after we did the conversations every night for 10 days, and that's when the 8 permanent moderators say, Allah, now it's end. Are we just gonna stop here? Let's continue, because there were more people asking about more questions. And then we just didn't stop. We didn't stop for 2 months, and we had rooms every day. So we've been doing it for the past 5 months, of course having breaks in between. But after the borders started to open and people started to dine in, we do notice that there was a drop in listeners in around September. That's when we slow down a little bit and say, okay, let's not stretch ourselves too thin. Let's also have a break. So this week we only had 2 rooms. And people say, hey, what happened to What's Up Sabah? Why you all no rooms? He said, hey, hello, we also humans need to take a break. Let's have a break, and we'll be there. We won't be there every day. We're gonna be at least there twice or 3 times a week. So that's how
So that's how you grew.
grew. Yeah, that's how we grew.
So it means that you have to really be there consistently and have something interesting to talk about.
The commitment, Krista, is crazy. So if you are not the person that can commit, you don't have that time to commit, and you don't have that heart to commit, then you can't
Don't
build a
start Clubhouse.
community. No, not just Clubhouse, like everything else.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's the same, right? I mean, even for me, if I commit to do this Facebook Live, I commit to doing it every 2 weeks. And rain or shine, whether I feel like it, I don't feel like it, I tell myself, I'm here because I want to share the information. And I have wonderful people who come along and say, hey, I want to share about this. So I say, okay, great, come along and talk about this. So yeah, you are right about commitment. I think commitment is the thing that separates a lot of people from whether they're doing it or they just like, never mind, we just lip out first. We don't really take it that seriously. So based on what you told me, what are some of the do's and don'ts on Clubhouse? I know there's lots of do's and don'ts, but
There's a lot
there
of
are some
do's and don'ts.
key ones.
Okay, the key ones. Let's start with do first.
Yeah.
Do have a purpose.
Okay.
Really do have a purpose. Why are you on Clubhouse? Are you there just to switch on Clubhouse and to have your background sound because you want to do work? There are some people who came into Clubhouse because they're not used to working from home where it's very quiet. They wanted to have that background noise and start and after that they go like, oh, actually Clubhouse do have a proper conversation, huh? And then they go like, oh, okay, to be people do talk about serious stuff on Clubhouse because they didn't know. They thought that Clubhouse is only about people cakap kosong macam di mamak, you know. So do have a purpose. Why are you on Clubhouse? If you find your purpose, then you'll be able to determine whether you want to hang out in the social rooms, just talk about everything and anything under the sun, or do you want to use that platform to talk about more serious stuff? That's the do. Um, do make use of the platform in building community and building network. This is like your directory, really, your yellow pages. So you'll be able to find a lot of types of people from different industries on Clubhouse. So do use that also. Do use it as your. On the other hand, you know, it's a directory. Also post yourself lah. Put your use this platform to just showcase who you are, tell people who you are. You never know who will back channel you at the end of the day and say, can I invite you to my Facebook live, my Instagram live, you know, like what's
Yes.
happening with
Yes.
us
Yes.
right now. um don't I've got a very big two don'ts. Don't tell people that Clubhouse is a safe space. I tell my moderators that don't ever mention that Clubhouse is a safe space because you don't know who is your listener. So, whatever that you want to share on Clubhouse, make sure that this is not a private and confidential information. If this is an information, don't assume that just because people are not moving, you're only seeing display photos. Don't assume that this people is not going to use that information that you offer and bring it somewhere else. So just be very careful with what you want to share on Clubhouse. Be authentic, of course, be yourself, be genuine, but also guide that information. If you don't want that information to be out there, because I don't trust people on Clubhouse and say, this information is only for you all, only in this wall. No, no such thing. I don't trust that. Whatever information that I want to tell people on Clubhouse, if that is going to be quoted and said, Ophelia said that, I'm okay with that because I decided to convey that information and share that information. So, number one, it's not a safe space. And number two, be genuine, be authentic, be yourself, but also guide that information. Know what is private information and know what's a private and confidential information.
Very good advice. I never would have thought of that. Because I think maybe people think that just because I can't see you like this visually, it's
Yeah.
like whatever I say, no one knows, right? But
Yep.
because it's attached to a profile on
Mm-hmm.
Clubhouse, and people can easily find out more by following all the other links that you've put there. They will know you eventually, even though you
Yep.
said it in a very audio space. Wow, those are really interesting ones. Okay, let me see there. We have comments from, okay, Usha. So, Usha, is there an optimum duration to moderate a Clubhouse session? And is it advisable to get another person to co moderate when we are starting this Clubhouse journey? Great question, Usha.
Yeah, it's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
Typically, a room would run for 45 minutes to 1 hour. We have rooms which ran for 4 hours, our political room that ran from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning because great conversations were happening. Um, so there is really no optimum duration, lah. But usually people like to see a shorter rooms. People like to see a 1 hour room, a 45 minutes room, 1.5 hours room, 2 hours max. Anything more than that, people are going to get bored. Um, and also, it is very, very much greatly advised to have a co-moderator, because sometimes you may get kicked out because sometimes it does get glitchy. So what happens is, if you do not have a co-moderator, automatically the system will assign the next person on stage as the moderator. So that the danger of it is, for example, if it's just me and Krista here, and Krista gets bumped out of the system, I will automatically become the host, and I can hijack that conversation. So
Ooh,
you
dangerous.
must, dangerous. So you must have a co-moderator. It is very much advisable. Yeah.
So it's like an appointed co-moderator that in case anything happens to you on Clubhouse that you get bumped off, that person takes over to control the flow of conversation rather than have something else happen in that room, right?
Yeah, yeah. Because as a moderator, you will be given the power to end the room. You
Hmm.
will also be given the power to bring people up on stage. So what happens if the moderator, the main moderator, gets bumped out because of internet issues, and then the other moderator comes in and says, okay, that argument was very heated, and I don't want that person that came in and started, let's just kick that person out. Then I now have the power to kick that person out. I will bring everybody on stage to go and support my idea, right?
Ooh.
So it's quite dangerous, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
things like political rooms, you could have that. You can have the vaccine and anti-vaxxers room. You would have the, last time we had the Palestinian Israel rooms. You could. And we've seen people, kicking other people out of the room because the ideas or the moderators did not agree to the opinion of a speaker, and they just kick that person out of the room.
Ooh. Okay. So that
Yeah.
sounds pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Or that sounds slightly like a anarchy happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Usha follows up with, how do you manage when someone wants to come up to the room yet you know he or she might be a bit controversial? Oh, another good
Oh,
one, Usha.
interesting, because we've had people who were controversial and said, okay, this person is gonna come up and this person is going to hijack our conversation. Oh, we have had people like that. We've had politicians that came into our room, a Sabahan politician, and our conversation and our title was very obvious. The title was, what are your favorite food? Hello, how can you get wrong? And the
Okay.
person started talking about, you can come to me and apply loan, and the projects were successful and things like that. And we're like, hello, we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about food. So we were, so moderators would usually have, and last time before back channel, how we communicated backstage was via WhatsApp. And we were frantically, messaging each other and said, okay, this dude is hijacking this conversation. Who is there? Which moderator is daring enough to open the mouth and steer back the ship? And one moderator was very brave and said, excuse me, YB, let's get back to the topic of conversation. Let's make it light. And the purpose of this room today is really about food. And YB, where do you normally eat when you're back in KK? And then the YB said, sorry, I got carried away. Yeah, my favorite meal is in XYZ and things like that. And after that, he got bored because he was trying to hijack the room and, just have his agenda. And after he shared one or two places, he left the room. So like that lah. And we have people who also come on to stage and just start talking about what they do in their room and their club, and because they want to use our platform to talk
To
about
promote
their room in the
to
club.
promote
And
themselves. Yeah.
yeah, so moderators will go, yeah, excuse me, Krista, let's get back to the topic of conversation. You were talking about XYZ, and let's just get back to it. And usually people would apologize. If you can tell a person exactly what they're doing wrong, they will apologize. So that's the tips and tricks lah. But it takes practice, really. It really takes practice. You can't not be a moderator and suddenly you have a person who is quite controversial and come up, and that person happens to be very experienced. They can really hijack the room. So it takes another seasoned or more experienced moderator to take back your ship and steer it.
But can you, as a moderator, kick that person out of the room?
We don't usually kick people out of the room. We are not,
Okay.
unless the person is very, very jahat. Then we would
Okay.
kick the person out of the room. Usually we just take their mic back. Take
Mm.
take their mic back by bumping them back to the audience, because when you're in the audience, you are not able to speak anymore. You're just there to listen. So usually moderators will just send them back to the audience, take the mic back, that's it.
Okay.
unless
So,
unless people are really like they are trolls who would come up on stage, and they would come up on stage and say, "Oh, Krista, can I sing you a song?" And this has nothing to do with song, huh? And they go singing, 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 singing. And usually what the moderators would do is remove the person from the room and immediately block that person.
okay.
So you have
Okay.
an option to do that also.
You see, that part of conversation is actually quite interesting. How to be a moderator on Clubhouse without being rude and
Yeah,
without trying to bump people off, as to the audience or kick people out of rooms, right? I think that would be a very interesting thing. See, we have discovered something that perhaps you could also talk about in Clubhouse, and we all come and join you. Andrew, myself, Usha, as well as other people here. So some people have just joined us. Hi, Helen. Good morning. We are almost actually we are almost at the end of our conversation. But for those of you who just joined us and you missed the greater part of the conversation, I encourage you to watch the replay and to really find out how you can use Clubhouse for your own business, as well as to talk about something that you're really passionate about and something that helps you grow community. I think the key thing about Clubhouse is really about growing community, right, Ophelia?
yeah,
That's
that's
how
right.
you grow to 1,500 people and growing in just
Yeah,
less than 6 months, which I
yeah,
think that's an amazing feat, because I don't think that any other platforms other than this kind of very interactive platforms are able to help us grow that way. So today has been an interesting conversation with you, Ophelia. I really look forward to joining your Clubhouse. So I have to now take on the other. I have to brain myself. Okay, what am I going to talk about? I have to talk about something, right? So I will join you. Definitely, I will join you. And Andrew says, "Cool, I can be a support." Thank you, Andrew. What should we talk about? We have to
there's so
think of
much to
something
talk
interesting.
about. So much to talk about.
Okay,
Just
we're
talking
just going to join.
about, just talking about what do you feel about, travel restrictions being lifted. Where do you want to go? Simple conversations like that. We don't even have to talk about who's going to be the next prime minister. No need to go so heavy lah.
Yeah,
Just light
yeah,
conversations to
yeah.
keep it going. Yeah.
And with Malaysians, conversations around food, your favorite place to eat nasi lemak. I think those are the ones that get people excited.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so last few comments. Andrew said anything lah. Okay, yes, Andrew, that's a good way to start. Anything. Let's start with anything. Social casual room.
Mm.
Thanks, Usha. She said, I truly enjoyed this conversation so much, Ophelia. Just follow you on Clubhouse. See, yay!
Yay,
we're
thank you
all following Ophelia.
very
So we
much.
follow Ophelia, and then we go and listen to her and her friends talking about a lot of topics. The one that I actually went in was on radio. Her radiographer friend was talking about how do you prepare for an X-ray, which I found extremely useful because I didn't know some of the things that he was mentioning. I think was his name Steve or Steven?
Steve.
Steve, yeah.
Steve.
So Steve was talking really going into the real stuff, specifics of how you prepare for an X-ray. So I thought that was really fascinating. So a lot of fascinating conversations happening on Clubhouse. And okay, I must make it I must really try to make it something that I want to put time towards and commit towards it. And of course, follow Ophelia and gang on What's Up Sabah. So thank you so much once more, everyone, for a wonderful morning. We will see you again 2 weeks from now. And in that particular session, we'll be talking about the export market with a friend of mine who is very well versed in if you're thinking of exporting your products or trying to export your products overseas, this will be the session you don't want to miss. So thank you once more, Ophelia. Thank you for spending your 1 hour with us this morning. And
Thank you so much, Krista. Thank you for having me.
and
On behalf of What's Up Sabala, the whole community is thanking you for bringing us and highlighting us. And thank you, everybody else who has joined and followed me on Clubhouse. Looking forward to listening and speaking with all of you.
yes, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great Saturday. Bye.